This is a stove video. If you like equipment, stoves, looking for a new stove this season, this video is for you. What stoves are we looking at today? We're going to look at two and put them head to head, talk about attributes, things to look for. But we've got the MSR Windburner and we have the Jetboil Stash. Two classic stove options out there, very, very popular stove options. So we're going to cook a recipe on it to test them out. So what are we cooking today to test out these stoves? We're making gumbo. Let's get cooking. Hey, Chef Corso, Monty Boca. I'm here to put you on the path to amazing meals on your outdoor treks, and I am in Tampa. This is Tampa Bay, the famous big-ass Tampa Bay. But we are here to talk about stoves, stove selection, and to test out a recipe on these stoves today. So the interesting thing about cooking outdoors is oftentimes, and what I always suggest to you guys out there, is to do more than boiling water. So what I want for a recipe selection in order to really test out these stoves is have three attributes. One, it needs to saute at high heat, it needs to eventually boil, and then it does need to simmer, because a lot of our recipes out there, boil, simmer for 5, 10, 15 minutes, and I don't want to see that scorching on the bottom of the pot. So, in order to select the recipe today, I chose gumbo because we'll be sauteing up some veggies, we'll be bringing it to a boil, and then simmering it for a few minutes in order to get a really great tasting bowl. And special thanks to K. Scott behind the camera, one of our great recipe testers here in Tampa. But he is vegan. I'm on a keto kick right now. Two opposite ends of the eating spectrum. But we're going to be able to modify our gumbo recipe for me being super meaty and a little bit fattier, and to have some nice vegan options for him as well. So first things first, let's take a look at both of these stove models and set them up nice and close up so you can see what they look like, because there are some significant differences in how they're created, how they're put together, and eventually probably how they cook. So first one we're going to look at is the MSR Windburner. So this is a chimney style stove. Comes with a nice container for your storage and a lid. And then also the burner nests right in there. And for the overall setup of this, it has 3 little feet for a tripod stand, which does provide a nice, sturdy cooking surface. And for this specific model, it runs on an isobutane gas. But hot tip for you, for any stove that you get out there, always double check the manufacturer about which stove type to select. There can be some adapters out there so you can get a different style. And for this stove, it has really, really nice pot and pan integration. And again, a nice sturdy cooking surface and lid to be able to lid off your pot. And so this does have a 1.8 liter pot, which is quite large and easy to be able to cook 3 or 4 portions. So one thing to notice about this stove, it is very, very different with its construction. It's a little bit of a honeycomb kind of situation, really nice, even cooking potential, and a very, very large surface area in general, but also a large surface area in comparison to the pot bottom, which is something that I look for in a stove, is to make sure you don't have just a quarter-sized burner and a large pot, because that means that you're only going to get heat right here, and right around the radius of that burner. Let's go ahead and talk about some ingredient callouts for our couple different styles of gumbo here today. So I've got everything packed up in my backpack, super easy packing. So I've got some things in my stuff sack here, but I also have some celery, green pepper, some green onion, to get our Trinity from New Orleans style, and some okra. Fresh okra can last for multiple days, but for this northern boy, having okra available is kind of fun. And a few other ingredients, we've got Old Bay all day. Got a little bit of oil, a little bit of tomato paste, and for protein, we've got 2 options. We've got packaged chicken For my gumbos, I often like to have 2 different proteins. So you can do shrimp and chicken, andouille sausage and chicken, even hot dogs and summer sausage. Pretty much choose your own adventure as far as protein. But for the second one we've got today, we've got a Spam single, because of course you need some Spam in your gumbo. So we've got our really nice veggies here that will give us some nice micronutrients and some freshness, but also really test our sauteing capabilities of our stoves. Then we'll go ahead and add some tomato paste and seasonings, plus our protein and a little bit of water. Boil it up and give it a simmer and see how it tastes. Since I am on a keto kick today, I'm not adding rice to this. You can add some cauliflower rice if you like. If I was making this on a trail in kind of a normal time, I would probably add some rice to bolster up this. But if you haven't seen Spam singles out there, this can be a great backpacker ingredient to bring along. I found this at the local Winn-Dixie here down in Tampa. But quick call outs here. This is one slice, 230 calories, 29 grams of fat, 830 milligrams of sodium, 2 grams of carbs, and 9 grams of protein for 2.5/71 grams. This is a high calorie, high density food that you could bring along. But hey, let's get cooking. So next, we're going to look at the Jetboil Stash. And I know a lot of you out there have Jetboils, but the interesting thing that I learned over the last couple months is that Jetboil actually has multiple different styles of burners, and not just pots and stoves. The classic chimney style Jetboil has a smaller radius for their burner, but this Stash has a different one that's much like a pocket rocket style, extendable, nice feet, and then screws right on top of your canister for really easy, quick setup. And it does have a classic triangle foot situation that can help with some of your stability, especially if you're on some slick rocks. And then your pot just nestles. As far as pot and pan integration, there is a little bit. I don't know if you can see here nice and close, but there are some teeth on here for different sizes of pots, which can be very, very helpful, but there isn't 100% integration like the MSR Windburner. But we do have a little bit of insurance there to be able to not have our pot just slick and slide off, which I've had happen before. There goes my soup down the side of a mountain. And man, it is a really, really sad day and or dinner when my soup goes down the side of a mountain. So I'm always looking for pot and pan integration to be able to give me some insurance so I don't spill my dinner. Also, some of these handles, I call you don't know until you know. You're like, how do I use this? What's going on here? I don't know. All you have to do is squeeze it and it is able to close. But a lot of stove brands out there have a specific little handle that kind of sits in there with some different teeth, and it's very, very confusing until the first time you know how to use it. There's a lot of attributes to look for when you are selecting a specific stove, and one of those is a pot, because some of them are solo, some of them are integrated. Like this guy is integrated over here. This does come as a package, but you can cook with other pots on here. But the interesting thing too is, depending on what you're cooking, sometimes the chimney style burner is exactly what you want for a nice bowl of soup or a nice bowl of ramen. But sometimes having a little bit more surface area to work with in this sort of squatty style can be helpful for maybe a fried rice dish, or maybe making some scrambled eggs, rather than having to dig all the way down the chimney in order to stir those ingredients. A couple other attributes to look for when you are selecting a pot is overall weight, and the weight for our MSR Windburner over here with our 1.8 liter pot is this. And the weight for our Jetboil Stash with, how big is this pot here? A little over 1 liter pot is this. But both of them do pack up pretty nicely in your pack. It just depends on how you like to pack your backpack, but they both slide in your pack really, really easy. One thing to know for any camp stove out there, make sure you have your ingredients ready, because these stoves are meant to cook hot and meant to cook fast because, you know, you're hungry. We'll hit it with a little bit of tomato paste. You could also use some fresh baby tomatoes too if that works for you. And then we'll hit it with some water. And so far, both of these are cooking up really nicely. When I'm stirring to the bottom, I'm not noticing anything scorch. But again, you have to be prepared because it will scorch if you walk away from it to go check on your tent. Nice. Well, this is smelling absolutely delicious here by the bay. And for both of these pots here, one, we're only cooking about 1 or 2 portions for this, so this is not taking very long to boil. And remember, that was one of the things that we're testing, is how quickly does that boil. But for just 8 to 16 ounces, comes up in just a few seconds. So once it does boil, which is definitely an important factor, is it's time to turn it to simmer. And oftentimes I'll turn it down a little bit, see how it reacts, especially if you're at elevation. It might affect that a little bit more, a little bit less. Ooh, look at that though. A nice light simmer. Turn it down just a little bit more. Put our lid on it. So see how we're just at a really nice low simmer on this Windburner, which is exactly what I want. And for our Jetboil here, this could actually come down a little bit more, and we'll see if we can still keep the flame. Ooh, nice, there we go. Both of these have been simmering for just a few minutes, and again, you can make some rice on the side. You can add more protein, different veggies, some fake meat options out there, some tofu for our vegan option. But we've got 2 hopefully great bowls of gumbo here on our different stoves. But lastly, I'm going to go ahead and add our okra. And what I do know about okra and cooking okra is you don't want to cook it for very long. So you want to add it in right at the end, and you want to cook it pretty hot because there's a lot of kind of slimy texture there that tends to come out if it's cooked too long. So this is frozen okra, so we're basically just going to heat this up. But man, look at all that green. I know that's really crazy to see green in a backpacker meal, but those are micronutrients, that's flavor, that's freshness, and that's tasty to really complete our gumbo bowl here today. Wow, that is looking really, really nice. So we'll just let that simmer for maybe 30 seconds or a minute. And also, this is the point where we get to taste it. Really, really important to taste your food. Don't just serve it and hope it's good. It's your chance to add a little bit more salt, a little bit more Old Bay, a little bit of spice, a little bit of something, but taste it to see how it is. Nice. I could use a little bit more Old Bay, but I am Old Bay all day, so that's just me. Try this guy too. It's definitely less meaty, I'll tell you that. But really nice fresh veggie flavor in there. So yeah, I think we'll add a little bit more Old Bay to both. But with cooking inside or outside, saying that I always have is you can always add more. It's really, really hard to take it away. but you can always add more and it tastes along the way. Wow. And that okra is starting to release some of its juices, and it's sort of thickening up our broth here too, which is really awesome. Wow, that's looking really great. Man, who would have thought Spam and gumbo would look good? Awesome. So I think both of these pots are done, so let's bowl them up. So we have our gumbos nice and bowled up, and man, they look super good. But before we give them a final try, we're gonna see how our pots did with scorching. So for our Jetboil, let's take a look. So not looking too bad, maybe a little bit of residual on there, but nothing that's really challenging to clean up. And also, some of that scorched bits tend to taste kind of bitter and kind of gross too. So overall, the Jetboil passed the test. So let's take a look at our Windburner. So I do see a little bit of scorching at the bottom. You know, I could have scraped a little bit more. I did use my rubber spatula, so maybe using a metal spoon could help a little bit with that. But overall, that's not too bad and not looking too challenging. If you're concerned about that, check out my other video for how to clean a cat pot to get those bits off the bottom. But overall, these both worked really well. I think both of them simmered quite nicely, were easy to regulate. I think there was a little bit of more even cooking on our Windburner here, just with the nature of the overall burner, but both did a pretty darn good job. With a little bit of green onion. Again, a little bit of freshness goes a long way, and a baby Tabasco, because of course you have that lying around the house. Yes. Oh man, I wish you could be here, because man, when that hot sauce hit the gumbo, a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of freshness. All right, so let's give this a try. We're gonna try our meaty version first. Make sure I get a nice hunk of Spam. Wow. That's really good. Okra is soft, got some crunchy veggies. Our New Orleans Creole mirepoix, chicken, Spam, high calorie, high freshness, high flavor. I took a big bite there. But also very little scorch flavor in the overall pot and the overall bowl there. So that's definitely a positive. So let's go ahead and try our vegan option here, which is just veggies. I know K-Scott's getting excited behind the camera there. So I'm smelling this for the last few minutes. Nice. A little bit simpler flavor, but still really tasty. But again, you could add some fake meat options to that, some tempeh, some tofu, some packable options that could be really good to bolster up that. Well, thanks for coming along, for checking out these two stoves with me. If I had to pick a winner, I would probably lean to the MSR Windburner, mainly because I've used it before and I love that even cooking and that burner, both for the overall surface area, and the tripod is really helpful for stable cooking. But the Jetboil Stash is a really nice option as well, especially for 1 or 2 person cooking. But that Stash burner is definitely an upgrade from the standard Jetboil quarter-sized option. But try this gumbo recipe out there. Let me know what you're adding. But get out there, cook something amazing, somewhere awesome. Boca boca. Double by the bay, man.